Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're going to give our first impressions of Sunrise Lane, coming to you from Horrible Guild and the Dr. Reiner Knizia. And this is one that I got at Gen Con, and we opened it up. It's one of the earliest ones we've played that I got from Gen Con.
Yep, yeah.
I did play Dice Veggies first, but I think this is the third one played.
Third one, yes.
Third one, sorry. It's close to not even being close to the first anymore. I'm just forgetting. But no, this one was one that looked interesting. Saw a demo of it. I think that was the first time it was released. But it sounds like maybe it had taken. I thought I heard or saw a comment or something about someone saying it kind of takes from one of his other games or something.
Yeah, I looked
Which, I mean, when you make 500, 600, 700 games, I'm guessing you're going to be
Bound
using
to be
some similar things.
something carrying over, but yeah, I looked on BGG and it did say re-implemented or re-implements another game. I forget what it was called, but it does seem like it is re-implementing something at least that he has already done. But yeah, you actually showed me this one to see if I was interested in it, and I might have just been taken in with the pieces, but it also looked like a pretty simple game, pretty easy to get to, maybe a filler weight game, and we have a few games from the Doctor himself that we enjoy quite a bit, so I said, yeah, definitely pick that one up. That's probably the most excited I had been to any game you had sent me to that point, which I'm sure Mac was happy. She's like, oh, great.
Yeah, she wasn't as excited about this one. I think she thought it was a little bit maybe too simple, possibly.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it looked like it was going to be a quick one, I thought it would be one that we'd be able to maybe get to the table a little bit more often, possibly. Like some of his other designs, like you said, are simple, quick, and yeah, this one looked like it was going to be no different from those. And yeah, we already actually played 2 games of this one. On the box it says 45 minutes, and I don't know if maybe at a higher player count it might, but the turns are very snappy. It reminds me, the snappiness and the way some of the things work reminds me a little bit of Ethnos for how quick it is, but even a simpler version of Ethnos, I would maybe say.
The new Ethnos. Heard it
The
here
new
first.
Ethnos. But yeah, so we played 2 games in probably under an hour.
Yeah.
It was probably
Yeah.
close to that 45 minutes, so at 2 players it could be even quicker. I don't know for 4 players, maybe it'll be that 45 minutes, but I think that's probably going to be the top time, assuming you don't have 4 really AP type players.
Yeah.
Because, there's only 2 options you can do on your turn, so it's got that simplicity to it, and yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed our first 2 plays of this one. It's definitely more of a filler, pretty light game, but there are some interesting choices you have to make because there's different areas of the board. Some you're trying to get the tallest building, so kind of like Ethnos or a Ticket to Ride. You're trying to collect a bunch of the same color if possible, but your hand can only be so large, and it kind of feels like you're wasting turns if you're trying to dig for certain cards. At least from these plays, maybe that would change as we play it more. I don't know, but yeah, the possible chaining if you get a bunch of cards kind of in a row, you're only putting like 1 out each, but you're getting lesser points. But then there's areas of the board that you want to have as many out there. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's getting you to do some different things out on the board, but keep it still pretty simple and not like, oh, looking at this board, where are all the places I could possibly put it? It's not anything like that. You definitely have places that stick out based on the point values you're going to get, or the multipliers, I guess you could kind of call it.
Yeah, for sure. And those can be a bit of a trap as well, as you kind of want to get to some of those farther out spaces that are maybe value 4 and 5. Because I know I had a few green cards in the one of the game, like right near the start of it. But I couldn't reach those spots yet, so I tried to save them, and it just didn't end up working out for me. If I had maybe just used them on a 2 or something, taking my medicine, it could have worked out better, but I kind of fell into a little bit of a trap of the greed of wanting those higher scoring ones. But I really love that scoring mechanism, path lane. It's just so rewarding. If you can get a run of them and just go a long ways, you're just spreading your territory because you do score at the end of the game for having the largest group, so that helps towards that. It's not just like, oh, I just got a bunch of little ones. It is getting you more than just that, especially if it is in one of those red areas that you need a lot of them in there. But yeah, and this when you are able to get multiple, like 2 or even 3, because 3's pretty rare because
Right.
those spots get taken because you have to be pretty close because you do have that hand limit of 5.
Right.
That means you're not traveling very far to get that, which means
Exactly.
other people are still that close because you can go off of anyone's spots.
Right.
I really liked what it delivered.
I agree, and I'm going to be interested to see how it plays at the higher player
Oh,
counts.
yeah.
I know you get less buildings to start with, but I think that will. I feel like the board still felt pretty open
Yep,
and broad in a 2-player game. I'm wondering if it's going to feel a little more, I don't know, closed in maybe at a 4-player count. I'm
yeah.
not sure. I'm not
Yeah,
sure one way or another if it will feel like that or not. And I think that'll probably cut up the groups of people a little bit more.
Yeah.
And things are going to be changing a little bit more as well.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I think because in this second game we played, we didn't kind of get to this corner of the map. We tried to at the end game, but we weren't able to. I would think with 4 or higher player counts, people are going to be doing different things, and I think it will reach more of the board, and it'll probably help it a little bit. I think maybe at least at 3. I don't know if 4 is going to be a little too much cutting off of your places possibly, but yeah, so far even 2, even though we didn't use that part, I didn't feel like that game was lacking.
No, because in a way too, I felt like because you were so close to that at the end game,
Yeah,
I knew
it
that
was
was going to be 10 full points because at least in a 2-player game, if you have if you've qualified for something, you at least get the second place amount, which is 6 points. So it's only a 4-point loss if you can at least qualify for it. But if someone outright gets it and the other person doesn't get in it, that's 10-point difference.
Yeah.
So that can be a pretty large chunk in the end game.
Yeah, so that created like a really cool last little bit where each of us were trying to get over there just to sneak in at the
Right.
last moment just to snag those points.
But we weren't able to.
Not
sadly.
able to.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'd say I'd give this one currently probably like a 7.5, 7.75 for me. It definitely hits the spot for a filler game, and I think this one's going to be extremely fast, even at a 3-4 player count. So
yeah.
I'm hoping to try this one out for that as well. And yeah, it's just a solid production. I think the one thing about the production that I'm kind of mixed on is some of the colors, like the red and pink, depending on your lighting. They can sometimes on the far side be difficult, a little more difficult to tell which one's red and pink, and then maybe a similar thing with green and blue as well, potentially.
Yeah, and they have symbols to tell them apart as well. That could be for colorblind, but those are very tiny.
They are very small.
And like the blue and the pink ones are very similar. So I'm not, and the red and yellow are very similar. So maybe those ones don't really mix together that much. If you do suffer from that,
yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Those are pretty tiny. I almost didn't even notice them until just now. So
right.
Just a little thing.
I would say that is the one main thing. Otherwise everything else is a really solid production.
Yeah. I would give this probably a little higher. This was a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. It might have been slightly simpler than I thought, but a lot faster, and I think that gave it quite a boost. So this is probably maybe like an 8.75.
Wow.
For me. This is just a perfect filler game for me. It's intense. It's rewarding, and it's so fast.
It is fast. It is very fast. Because, our games were like maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And, so this 45 minutes is actually very generous on the box.
Yeah.
Which doesn't always happen.
For once.
Right. Unless we played something totally wrong. But it's a 4-page rule book, and it seemed like you sort of looked back at it and seemed like we were doing it right. And one of those pages was actually just example turns. Yeah. So it wasn't really only like 3 pages, and maybe even 2.5, because the last page was also just kind of talking about the scoring, which I felt like could have been even explained in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
So, definitely look for this one if you're on the lookout for a quick filler game.
An entry-level game, I think.
Yeah, very entry-level. This could be kind of maybe potentially going for the Dice Tower Award of Welcoming Game possibly next year, I think. Because, it's very solid, very welcoming. It gives, almost simpler vibes of like a Ticket to Ride. So I think this one you could introduce to your family members pretty easily and, not have too much of an issue. We'll have to see if it's one that our mother, and even possibly grandmother would play. I think it could be. So, we'll have to see. But otherwise, if you want to take a little closer look at kind of the components and stuff, we also have an unboxing video. But otherwise, we hope to see you on that video. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
on our content.